So looking ahead to next week, which is our last full week of school, on Monday you have your last algebra quiz. It's going to cover equivalent equations and manipulating variables with formulas, and also absolute value functions and their graphs. And on Wednesday, your project should be embedded in your Chapter 4 blog post, and that should all be finished. And remember, it's at the top of Moodle if you've lost your copy. And then Friday is your last Alex quiz. And then the last week of school, we're going to just have a big Jeopardy game, and I only see you once that day. So just so you know these due dates for next week. And then we started class today just refreshing our minds about what absolute value means. And absolute value means the distance a number is from zero. And that's the reason why the absolute value of any number is positive. It's not the same as opposite. Opposite means if you're positive, you become negative. If you're negative, you become positive. Absolute value is a distance, and distances are always positive. So the absolute value of a positive 7 is 7. The absolute value of a negative 7 is 7. It's just the distance from 0. So we started off by just refreshing our memories about how to graph by hand the identity function in algebra, which is just where y equals x. And then when you make your t-table, literally if y equals x, then negative 2 is equal to negative 2. Negative 1 equals negative 1, 0 equals 0, 1 equals 1, 2 equals 2. When we plot those ordered pairs, excuse me, we get this very special identity function. And notice that because all the ordered pairs are the same, that this line for y equals x is equidistant from the x-axis and the y-axis. And because this first quadrant here, it has a 90-degree angle with the x and y axis, that means that this is 45 degrees and this is 45 degrees. And that x equals y always has that special property. So what happens if we just change this to x equals the absolute value of y? And so I said, why is it a V shape? Well, the y equals x, this line went straight down because when x was negative, y was negative. But now we're saying when x is negative, y is positive. And when x is positive, y is positive. Therefore, we go left up, right up, left up, right up, because y is up when it's positive. So that's how we get this V shape for the absolute value of x. Okay, then we looked at another just regular equation when y equals 3x. Remember, this means we're just tripling x to get y. So our line gets steeper because instead of our slope being 1, now our slope is 3, which means to get from point to point on the line, I go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. And 3 divided by 1 is 3, and this is the slope of our line, so it's steeper. So what happens when we take y equals the absolute value of 3x? Well, we have that same steepness, but this entire part gets flipped over the x-axis and goes up, because once again, y is always positive. So we just get a steeper V shape. And then we looked at what happened when we had y equals x plus 2, and our entire line shifted up 2. So if we have y equals the absolute value of x plus 2, our entire V of y equals the absolute value of x just goes up 2 units on the y-axis. And you can see it because we added 2 to get y every time we took the absolute value of x. So the entire V shape just shifts up 2. What about when we take y equals the opposite of the absolute value of x? Well, the absolute value is always positive. So every number in here is going to be positive, and then we're taking the opposite. So now every value for y becomes negative. Well, except for 0. But every other value for y is negative. So it takes our entire V shape and just flips the whole thing upside down, because now instead of going up for y, we always go down for y for every number except 0, 0. So it just flips it upside down. So these are just patterns that work with linear functions, and so today we just work with absolute value. So your homework is literally just work on your project in your blog post. Get it finished. It's due Wednesday. You have no Alex homework for the long weekend except Alyssa and Jabari. You've got to get through that orange. Finish up your orange section. One of you only has 4 topics left and the other has 11. So spend the time to finish your orange section. And then you do have the algebra quiz on Monday, so I would look at the last 2 screencasts, this one and the one before, and those will be a really good review before your quiz. Other than that, have a great 4-day weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.